Hello there, it's Tailz from Studio WyldFurr here. I'm back for another Monday morning map build. Hopefully my network is going to be nice to me today and actually let me stream. So, what am I doing here? I'm building, for those of you who have tuned in for the first time to watch me bumble about and make a fool of myself, I am each Monday building an adventure map. At the moment, I'm building map cards, which are 10 by 10 cards that will be maps that you can then lay together to make a building of some kind. And I'll probably release it in Fantasy Grounds and Foundry. I don't know if I'll release it in Roll20. I could probably will get a release in Roll20, but we'll see how we go. Today I'm going to be building the corners of a surface building. So I've got a template that I've made that it has all of the doorways in the template. So if I just zoom in a bit, so go view, zoom, and fit to window. Whoops, that's a bit too much. Then we go view, zoom, fit image in window. There we go. Okay, so, and I should probably turn on my grid. So if I go view, show the grid. So there's the apex corners of each little grid square. And then if we go snap to grid, so view, snap to grid. So whenever I put anything down, it will snap to the grid that I've got here, which is my 5 foot by 5 foot grid squares. But I have put in the doorways. So each of these is a doorway. So I'm going to build a corner of a building. So I'm not going to need the ones at the top because there's going to be grassland here and there'll be grassland down this side. So that's those ones. So I only need these ones here and here. I have a 2 square edge around here, which is grassland. So let's start by putting in the edge of the building, or the outer wall, so that way I know where it's going to be. And I'm using the move tool. If you've not used GIMP before to build adventure maps, the move tool is usually at the top here. I've changed the layout of GIMP a wee little bit. I've kept just the toolbar pretty much in its default location. I've then put I got rid of all of the other palettes, because usually when GIMP loads, it has lots of palettes everywhere. So I got rid of pretty much all the other palettes, and I've only got the toolbar pretty much in its default location. I've then got the layers palette docked over on the right hand side, and I then have sort of docked into the same window. I've got the tool options menu or palette, because each tool, so if I go to the selection tool, you'll see the options in here change. So every tool has its own options. I find with map building, with map tiles, you only really need this kind of setup. And I really only have this palette, the tool options palette, open simply because I like to switch between modes for the move tool, because there are 2 modes. The main mode, if ever you're building adventure maps in GIMP, the main mode you're going to be using will be move the selected layers. It will move whatever layer. So if I have a look at my layers palette, you can see I've got a bunch of layers in a folder called template doors. I've just put down a wall section, which I should actually put into I'll put it up the top here. So it's actually going to be above my folder, and I'll just close that down. So, because I don't want my walls to be in my template door folder, I just want to hide the ones that I'm not using. So having put this down, using the move tool, you can move it around, and you'll notice that with the snap and the grid on, it will snap into position, which is, you know, very, very useful. But as I was saying before, so if I put, so hang on, I'll just put that one there, and I'll bring in another wall section, put it there. So let's just say I've got two wall sections. Now, using the tool in its current mode, I'll go back to its mode. So I'm in the move the selected layers mode. Using in that current mode, it will only move the layer I currently have selected, which is this one here. But if I switch modes and I go to pick layer or guide, so just use the toggle to go to that, it will grab whatever is under the mouse when I click and drag. So at the moment I'm moving these both around, and I'm switching between them. So you'll notice these will switch. So the moment I grab the other one, see how the selection's changed, but it'll jump back to the one I already had selected. It's picking this one up while I grab it. That can be quite useful if you need to like just quickly grab different things and move them around. But the problem with this is that sometimes you can accidentally grab the wrong thing. So let me just put that there like that. So let's just say I want to move this one, but let's just say it's got a bit of overlap with this. If I don't exactly click on that, let's just say I accidentally click here, it's going to grab the other one. Or if I accidentally click, that's a bit of, hang on, let me just move that there. So let's just say, you know, if you don't exactly click on the right thing, you can accidentally just grab the wrong thing. That's the only downside to using this mode. Oh, sorry, this mode. Pick a layer or guide. That's the only downside. Other than that, it's actually really useful. I can sometimes, when I'm building adventure maps, I might spend my entire time in that option. But as I said, you can accidentally grab stuff. So for example, you know, I go to grab this, whoop, I picked up the background. Oh, I didn't want to do that. So I actually spend a lot of time in the move the selected layers option, because that way you'll only move what's selected. You won't accidentally pick up other things that could be, you know, under the background. Okay, so let's get back to what we're doing. So we are just quickly putting in a wall. So it's going to go up here and then along here. So this way I'm sort of blocking in the main structure. So I know this is the extent of my building. Because this is just going to be a northwestern corner of a building. There we go. And you'll notice that the way I do my building, I have GIMP open in the background, and then I switch between a window, which is file, you know, just Windows File Explorer, this one here, and I've got it set to let me have a look here. Where is it? So view, I've got it set to large icons, so that way you get a nice view of the art assets, and you can see the folders, and it'll also give you like a little mini preview of what's in the folders, which can be useful for finding things. So for example, jumping in here and, ooh, what's that? I don't want that window. that was that. Okay. And put that there. Okay. So yeah, that way I can search through all of my art assets, and then you quickly jump back up to the previous folder. That's pretty much how I do my map building with map tiles. And we're going to have a corner that goes in there. Okay, so this is where I get to sort of work out what am I going to put in here. So this will be a simple, bit of a simple area. So we'll have a big room here with some double windows. And put that there. I've been doing rooms where on the sort of the corners that are against the map, against the edge of the map, and against the edge, like the main corner here, I've been using these corners, which have sort of like a little angle piece to them, to make it look like, it's a big structural section. And then within the map, I've been using these corners, just to make it a little bit different. So fill in the walls. Now I'm going to go to my features folder, and I'm going to pop windows in here and here. And I have some large windows. Here we go, big windows. And I have two options. I have overlays which have the floor artwork already, or I have, well, sorry, they're not overlays. They're actually, so if I just put it onto the table, you can see it's got the floor tiles already included in the assets, and it's got a lighting sort of artwork added to the artwork. The problem with that is that the floor is included, so you may want to put like a different pattern on the floor. Let me just get rid of that. Oops. Generally that's okay, but I also like to use these overlays, and the overlays are pretty easy. All you do is you just put it over the top of the wall, like that. And it gives you the same look. But sometimes, like having the light on the floor is pretty cool, but you may want to use a different looking floor. And in this case, I want to use a different looking floor. So if we're going to have a big room here, we're going to, so let's just jump back up. And I'll do pretty much the exact same thing with this room. So I'll have like a two wall sections, and then we'll go a corner like that. And I'm putting my walls in the wrong folder. So hang on, let's grab those, put them down into this folder. I like to keep my folders, I like to use folders, and I'll show you the folders I use. So I have a features folder, and that's where I put features. So it could be furniture, it could be windows, it could be doors, that sort of stuff. I then have my walls folder. And the good thing about doing folders is that you can hide, just those elements. It also is good because you may want to have different things that are over the top of different elements. So if I go back to my walls and I finish this room, so let's put the wall on the other side, just like that, and then fill it in. Oops. Okay. Now this gets to be the interesting bit. So how am I going to do? So each of these doorways goes, theoretically, it will be connecting to another map card that could go here, or one below. So what if we put in a diagonal wall that goes along here that turns this into a big room? Let's try that. So what I'll do is actually use one of these, put it in here, and then I'll use these like this. Oops, where are we? There we are. So I'll do that, and the same over the other side. So this will be a little bit symmetrical. It can be quite often good to try and avoid symmetrical maps, but you know, it'll be less symmetrical when you have map cards side by side. Now, diagonal walls, here we go. This is what I'm looking at. So let's start putting. Now, the interesting thing will be that this means having this with the diagonal wall along here, it means that if players want to get to these rooms out here, they actually can't go through this section here, which will force them to explore the map, which is what you want. There we go. And then we have these little corner pieces that keep the wall nice and flat. Now I'm building this zoomed out. I have this at 47% zoom, and I do that mainly so I can get like a big overview of what I'm building. Because at the moment I'm blocking out forms, and go and put down. So this will fill in this room, or well, actually put the walls around this room. There we go. So that one's pretty much done. So you'd get through here. So you could get through into the map card that's over here and the one that's down here. But you can't get through over here. So we'll do something different for that. This also gives us the interesting thing that we can have a weird room just in here. So we could do something like that. Have doors here and here, and so if we go and put these pieces here like that, and then we put some diagonals in. Find the pieces that we want. Okay, I've got that one. That one is there, and then a corner slots into the middle right there. Or, well, actually no, I'll leave the doorway here, because if we put the doorway here, I need to have a corner piece there. So let's grab some flat pieces like this one. It'll go, whoops, go like that. And where is it? That one. So that'll go there. Now the interesting bit comes to be this room. So how can we do this? Again, go back to the diagonals. Goes across here. And a middle piece right there. So this will be a doorway, this will be a doorway. And then we need to jump back up and use our corners. Well, actually, we could do, to make it interesting, to break up the fact that we're using a lot of diagonals, put a corner, put a curved corner into these pieces. Like that, and like that. Now what we need to do, so we need a flat piece here, flat piece here. So let's grab that one, put it there, and down here, this one, put it there. Now we need to put in our cornerstones, or our doorways. We have a folder full of them. So we're only going to need this one here. Then we need just a single there. And that is this piece. Then one again over here. Where is it? We need this one. That one goes there. And then we need the single piece, which goes in there, like that. And then we need the corners for these areas, and these should just be these ones. So that side and this side, like that, and the same over here. And that should be the walls. So we've blocked out the form we want to use, and from here, okay, so there's that's the walls of this map done. Now what we need to do is we need to add in our floors, and we need to add in the grass area outside. Oh, and I've forgotten to put in my windows. So there's the windows in here. Okay, so we change. So this is pretty much done. So I'm going to lock this folder. The reason I lock it is so that I don't accidentally move. So I'm trying to move stuff at the moment. I don't accidentally move it. Go up to our features folder. This is where we're going to pop in our windows. Drag it in, hit layer, transform, and rotate counterclockwise. And then do it again. Or actually, no, I'm just going to right click on this, and I'm going to click on, where is it? Duplicate layer. So we now have a duplicate, and we shall move that to there. So that's our windows done. So when we add in our dynamic lighting, there will be light that will come through those windows. And I think what we'll do as well, we will add in some doors. So where are our doors? Simple door, that's what we're looking for. Okay, so I'm going to put a closed one in here. Yeah, just like that should be fine. And a slightly open one the other side. So what we do is we've got to transform, rotate counterclockwise, put it there. Now I've got to flip it, because if you look, the hinge is right here. So if we're mirroring, it would be over here. So we go layer, transform, and flip vertically. There we go. It's now on the right side, which matches this side. And we should put doorways here and here. I haven't been putting doors where the map tiles connect, because I think that would just be odd. It would look odd, especially if I had different doors. Okay, this one I've got to flip. So I'm going to go 180. So now the hinge is over here, so the door would actually swing back against this wall. Pardon me. So for example, if I give an example, so use an open one, bring it down, that way. Okay, so put that in position so we can see the hinge here. So what we need to do is put that there and then flip it. Where is it? Flip it horizontal. There we go. And it's in the right spot. So we've got a doorway there and a doorway there. Cool. So, all right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the floor tiles for each of these rooms. Now, I want to use different floor tiles for in here and in here, but the same ones for that. For example, whoops, gone up too far. So brickwork floor, this is the floor tiles that I'm using for this this set of map cards, because this is the surface building map cards. So let's go to the floor folder. These connecting rooms all use this texture, so that way they look like they belong together. But I'll use different tiles, like maybe a pink tile or something decorative for each of these two rooms to break up the fact that these are coming into different rooms. Okay. But oops. Okay, so I'm going to use these down here because I want to do something like a pattern in these two. These are the patterns I want to use. Now, as I do this, you're going to notice that I'm going to get peek through into these areas, and we will fix that up. So just use that. So as I fill this room in, you'll notice that I get peek through. Actually, I'll force me to peek through. There we go. Oop, there you go. It's actually inside the wall, so you can see the peek through. So we will mask out these tiles, and I'll probably put them into their own folder. So actually, I'll make a folder for it now. So if I go and create a folder, and we'll call it floor A. And we'll just grab them and drop them all in there. Whoops. Into the folder. There we go. So I'll finish popping them down, because I find masking in GIMP is easier if you've got all your artwork in place, rather than creating a mask and then adding the artwork. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. Here we go. So pop that there. I also have to say that although I use GIMP a fair amount, I'm not too savvy on some of the features, because what I'm doing at the moment is pretty much the only thing I use GIMP for. I don't actually use it to do a lot of artwork, a lot of artwork creation. So a lot of the extra features in GIMP, I don't actually know. I know not how half of this stuff works. I know how a good amount of it works, but I don't know how a lot of it works. So I often sort of like do the simple things in GIMP and more complex things in Photoshop. Okay, so to create a mask, select your folder, grab the lasso tool. Now, you can just draw out a shape. That's perfectly fine. And close it, and that's now a selection. But what I like to do is I just draw out points, and I'm using the map grid points to do it. So let's just go select none, get rid of that. Okay, so I'm going to click here, click, oops, click, 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 and click. There we go. That is our selected area. And if I go to right click and I go to add layer mask, and I'm going to go for white is full opacity, go OK. And then I'm going to go to select invert, edit, fill with black back. So what I'm doing is I'm filling with the black of my background color that I have selected over here. And as you can see in the little icon displayed over here in the layers palette, where it is black, I'm going to select none. Where it is black, that is now transparent. Where it is white, it is now opaque. It will show through the artwork. You'll also notice that I got a barky dog. You'll also notice that there is a large transparent space, because what it does is that it makes the mask, but it only takes into account all the artwork, which is all these tiles, that is actually in your canvas at that time that you create the create the mask. So you'd actually have to add more artwork to your mask if you added more artwork to the canvas, which is, it's kind of a cool idea, but at the same time it's like, I don't really like that idea. That's why I like to put in all the artwork and then make a selection. Because if I started to add, let's say for example, I started to add in the artwork for in this room inside that layer, which I'll actually do. See how you can't see it? That's because it's not because I've got the maskers masking that area out. It's because according to the mask, there's no artwork in that space. Yeah, I know, it's weird. So let me see if I can just I'm going to disable the layer mask. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put some artwork into that space, and then I'm going to turn it on. So let's grab, yep, some corners. Because I want to have this pattern on the background. Where is, oops, there it is. Then we're going to fill in the pattern all the way around the side. Like that, and then top and bottom. Like so. That's the bottom coming around and the top coming around. What's that? And you can see we've got a little bit of poke through, so I'll have to fix that up. But actually go and put in like that. Oops. There we go. So we have added a bit of artwork, but if I turn my mask back on, where is it? Turn it back on. You can see that artwork has disappeared. So what I've actually got to go and do is I've got to I'm just going to select this area and go to edit. Oops, edit. There we go. So actually I've just put some artwork into it. So you can see they're like that. So I'm now going to zoom in. Going to grab my pencil tool, so select none. Grab the pencil tool and flip it over so that I'm drawing with black, and I'm going to just draw out that piece of artwork. So that way we don't have that art in our wall. And then I'm going to go to 100%. There we go. And then I'm going to scroll over here and do the same thing. So I'm going to disable the layer mask. This is a lot of futzing around, but I was just sort of I was showing you what sort of happens, the problems you can run into with layer masks. And so we just go and put in the corners. Where are we? Oh, that's the one we need. And then we need to come down the sides. Oop. And up the other side. And link up the top. And put 2 dots in the middle. There we go. That's that room filled in. Again, we need to do a bit of editing. So grab my pencil. Well, actually, no, I'm going to need to activate the layer. Whoop. And again, oh, it's not showing. So we need to, like this, go to edit, fill, and then select none, and then use that pencil. And just edit that out. There we go. Now, here is going to be the fun part. Let's just bring that down. Actually, I'm going to lock that off. There we go. And let's just move over. So what are we going to do here? So let's have a look. Oops, click the wrong button. So let's go to Dungeon Map Tiles 5 and have a look at the, so I've got a red floor. Yeah, we'll use this one in here. So what I'm going to do, oops, no, I want that there. Okay, so that's showing up above these. So let's go to and do this. So this is where we're getting some more poke through. So I'll need to have to flip these around. Or actually, how can I do this? Just fill in this room first. Just like so. Okay, so we want to have, so these are the little edges, like edge tiles that I've made. And we just want to use this one right there. So that way you can see that there's a little bit of artwork overlap. And up here, this might be hidden by the door, but we'll try anyway. So there we go. Yeah, it is hidden by the door overlay, but that's okay because this one's open. It gives you that nice little edge. But we do need to hide this area here. So again, I'm going to make another folder. I'm going to drag all of these in here. Add a layer mask. And I'm going to select. I'm going to grab out here, along here. There we go. And select, where is it? Select, inverse, and edit, fill with black, that hides that. There we go. So that's that room done. And now I want to do the same thing with this one. So actually, I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to put it here. So let's call this red floor. That's what we've just placed down. We'll call this pink floor. And we'll go and grab, yep, here is our pink tiled floor. Again, just fill the room. Whoops, I'm still in the wrong thing. I'm in my selection tool. So let's go none and back to the move tool. We'll probably get some poke through again, so that's why we're masking. Yeah, there we go. And fill in the floor. So the rooms look a little bit vacant at the moment because all I'm doing is building the walls, floors, and there's no features. There's no furniture. So my plan is to come along later, once I've got all the cards built, come along later and add in 3D rendered contents to the room and put them in place. But I plan to do that once I've got all the map cards made. Okay, so that is there. Now we want to go and put an edge over here and here. So this side, it uses this one. Like that. Those down the bottom here uses this one. There we go. So it just gives a little bit of artwork to it. And now we add in our layer mask. And we make our selection. You notice that I'm giving like a bit of space around the doorway. That's for the shadow of the door tiles. Over there, and there. So again, select, inverse, and then edit. Background. There we go. That, I believe, if I go select none, I believe that is our floor for the building done. So now I have to add some grass around the outside. So let me just zoom out. View, zoom, fit window in, fit image in window. There we go. So there is the corner of our building. And I'm going to go to the ground folder. And now I'm going to go and grab so I think I'm using the wilderness, where is it? Wilderness map tiles, standard edition, and the grass tiles expansion. Now the reason I'm using this is because I'm using the big grass areas. So this is a 2x2 grass area. And I'm just going to, I'm still in the selection tool. No, there we go. So let's move that down there. So I can just quickly fill in large areas with these map tiles. So these are 2x2 grassed areas, and I made them for just quickly, you know, filling in large areas of grass. And we've got a big 5x5. Again, it's just for doing big areas of grass. So what I might do is hide that one, put that one right there, get rid of that, and then just put and like that. And that's our, that is that card. If I just go and lock that off, that's that one done. So that's another map card completed for my endless dungeon crawler. So this is actually the corner of a building. So what I've now got to do is make another corner, which is what we'll start doing next. But I hope you've had a good morning. It's about 11 o'clock, so I might actually call it there. But I'm going to take a break because I'm getting lots of messages from people, and I need to go and sort out what the heck's going on. So I will probably do a little video, and I'll post a montage of building the next map card. But I hope you have a good week, and I'll catch you all later. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out my map tiles so that you can build your own adventure maps. Thank you for watching, and catch you all next Monday.